Dad, take her to the hospital. Mom is? With a trembling voice, Andrew desperately pleads into his smartphone. I was crouched down due to my water breaking, unable to move from the spot. At times like this, a young child can only think of his father. But the reply that came back from John over the phone was cold. I'm on a company trip, so I can't. Saying that, John laughed with a smirk. The guy who frequently tells transparent lies, such as company trip. Helpless, Andrew finally started crying. Furious, anger overwhelmed me. John abandoned me when my water broke. Moreover, ignoring Andrew's desperate plea was unforgivable. A week later, after a safe delivery, I was getting ready to go out when my phone rang. It was from John. As I was busy, Andrew answered the call for me. "Where's Mom?" Andrew said clearly. "We're about to bury right now." "What a fluster!" John exclaimed. "What do you mean?" "Hey, Andrew." Andrew ignored John's shouting and hung up the phone. "Let's go, Mom." "Right. We have a job to do." I took Andrew and headed to a certain place. What we were about to do was our little act of revenge. My name is Hannah Martinez. I'm a 33-year-old housewife. I live with my husband John and our 5-year-old son Andrew. After John goes to work and Andrew goes to kindergarten, my days are filled with housework. When that's done, it's finally my time. I stream videos as a hobby. The content is simple recipes and parenting tips, just little tidbits from a housewife. It started as a way to kill time. John had been living away from home for a solo work assignment, and I started this during my free time. But lately, I've gained more subscribers than I thought. Parenting and housekeeping hacks must resonate with my viewers, who are fellow moms. That's why, even after John returned from a solo work assignment, I find time to keep streaming. Streaming these videos has become a small joy in my daily life. Then one day, I found out I was pregnant. We had been thinking about a second child, so this was welcome news. John and Andrew were happy too. Names for the baby, preparations for baby clothes. There was a lot to think about. Looking back, I was probably too excited about being pregnant again after so long. That's why I didn't notice sooner the nightmare that was eating away at our family had already begun. It was a typical weekend morning. After breakfast, while John was on his smartphone, Andrew ran up to him. "Hey, Dad, let's play treasure hunt." Treasure hunt is one of Andrew's favorite games lately. We bury treasure somewhere, and then John and I try to find it. It was a typical peaceful weekend. That's what I thought. But John quickly hid his smartphone and yelled with glaring eyes. "Shut up. Dad's busy. Go away." His tone was so harsh that I couldn't help but speak up. "Hey, there's no need to talk like that. I'm dealing with work calls. I can't get anything done with all this noise." "Work? You're just fiddling with your phone on a weekend morning." John snapped back even more harshly at my words. "It's business communication. Work is piling up. You get that? You wouldn't understand. You're just a carefree housewife." "What's that supposed to mean?" With a snort, John stormed out of the room. Feeling the tense atmosphere, Andrew began to cry. I rushed over to him. "I'm sorry, Andrew. Dad was probably just in a bad mood." But he wasn't always like this. Before the solo work assignment, he often looked after Andrew. Lately, John's attitude has clearly changed. He's sneaking around on his phone more often. Even when spoken to, he seems distracted, and he's been overly critical of me. He keeps bullying me, saying things like, "Carefree housewife, and you don't have the responsibilities I do at work." Maybe it's the stress from his job, but his behavior only seemed to escalate. One day, as soon as he came home, John entered the living room with a sour face. Then he glared at Andrew's toys thrown in the corner. "Hey, haven't you cleaned this up?" I had just put the toys away in the toy box, but it seems I had forgotten some. "Oh, sorry." As I hurried to clean up, John muttered, "Seriously, can't you even discipline your kid properly? I'm tired from work, and I come home to this mess again." He threw a sarcastic remark. "Don't be mad," Andrew cut in with a tearful voice, standing in front of John, protecting me. But John coldly trampled on Andrew's tender heart. His expression turned indifferent. "Move it." John glared at Andrew with a click of his tongue and stormed out of the room. His recent actions had been too much. I needed to have a proper talk with him soon, I vowed to myself as I hugged a crying Andrew. The next evening, John came home. "John, we need to talk." "What now?" "I'm tired." "Make it quick." His dismissive attitude was the same as always. I pressed on regardless. "About your recent behavior." As I began to speak, John interrupted loudly. "Look, I'm going on a company trip with the employees for 2 weeks starting next week." "What? That's quite sudden. And for 2 weeks?" "Yeah. It's more like a trip where the managers aim to develop new clients with a bit of sightseeing mixed in. Seriously, I hate being dragged into these things." "I see. I don't need dinner tonight. Good night." "Wait. We're not done talking." John ignored me and quickly went into the bedroom. We used to have a drink and chat about our day after Andrew went to bed, but now the atmosphere for such moments was nowhere to be felt. John firmly closed the bedroom door, letting no one in. I finished up the remaining chores and turned on my computer. I started working on combining the narration with the video I shot the other day. It was the usual video editing I do. I used to stream simple household tips, but lately, it's been mostly about John. I created a segment called Troubles with My Husband, saying lately, I feel like my husband has become distant. This type of content seems to have a surprisingly high demand, as the views have increased from before. Today, I also briefly talked about the recent exchange with John. After posting the video, comments started trickling in. "Your husband is terrible. He doesn't understand your struggles at all." Receiving such empathetic comments somewhat calmed my spirits, but one comment caught my eye. "A sudden company trip sounds like an alibi for cheating." Cheating? I had a faint feeling, but had been ignoring it. Maybe it was really true. John's recent behavior had been inexplicable. Holding these troubling thoughts, I was doing housework one day. I was looking for receipts to update the household ledger. Let's see, they should be around here somewhere. I searched around but couldn't find them. As a last resort, I decided to check inside a smart chest in the living room. It's supposed to contain items related to Andrew's kindergarten, but maybe something was mistakenly placed there. Then the bottom of the first drawer came off. What is this? Incredibly, there was a false bottom in the chest. This chest wasn't originally made like this. Someone had deliberately made it difficult to discover by modifying the bottom. It wasn't me that left it, only John. A bad feeling washed over me. As I looked inside and saw something unfamiliar, my heart pounded like a drum. Taking a deep breath to calm myself, I'd booted up the computer. I decided to upload an urgent video. I wanted to hear viewers' opinions about what I had just found. I had my suspicions, but I needed confirmation. Soon, comments began pouring in, confirming my doubts. The week began, and it was Monday. John was gone for a while on that company trip. Well then, Andrew was at kindergarten, and John wasn't coming back soon. I seized the opportunity to take action. Then came the weekend. Everything was almost ready. Now, I was prepared for whenever John returned. That morning, as I was doing household chores as usual, I suddenly felt a pain in my belly. At the same time, I felt a warm sensation flowing down my lower body. Could it be? My water broke. I needed to get to the hospital immediately. As labor pains surged, I hurriedly finished dressing. Then, I packed necessary items like my insurance card, a change of clothes, and towels into a bag. Then a sharp pain hit. I had been overconfident about still being able to move, but the pain was so severe that I crouched down on the spot. I tried to find my smartphone to call a taxi, but it was nowhere to be found. Mom, amidst this, Andrew woke up. Andrew, the smartphone. I pleaded desperately. I could barely speak. Surprised, Andrew found my smartphone nearby and picked it up. Then, as if making a decision, he began to operate it frantically. He sometimes played games on my phone, so he seemed to know how to use it. Andrew yelled into the phone, "Help! Mom can't move. She looks in pain." It appeared he was on a call. The phone was accidentally on speaker mode, so I could hear the other person's voice. "Damn it, Hannah. I'm in the middle of something." "Huh? Is that you, Andrew? Of all people." It was John on the other end of the line. "Dad, take her to the hospital," Andrew pleaded. In times like these, a young child can only think of his father. But the reply from John was cold. "I'm on a company trip, so I can't." Laughing it off, John didn't seem to care. "Help! Please help." Finally, Andrew broke down and cried. Amidst intense pain, I couldn't forgive him. It seemed like he didn't care, even though I was suffering. What was worse, he completely ignored Andrew's desperate plea. After hanging up, Andrew called someone else. "Grandma. Grandma. Hey, Andrew. What's wrong?" It seemed Andrew managed to call my mother with his unsteady fingers. After that, I lost consciousness due to the pain. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. I was in bed with my parents looking over me worriedly. As I regained consciousness, the pain returned, and I grimaced. "Hannah, are you okay? Andrew called us. He said his mom couldn't move." He told us desperately. It seemed Andrew was quite upset, but he had fallen asleep from exhaustion. My mother said they had left him at the hospital's childcare. "He's amazing, only 5 years old." My mother spoke solemnly. "We tried contacting John, but no luck." My father sighed. It seemed my parents tried calling John as well, but they couldn't reach him at all. They knew about the supposed company trip, but of course, that was likely not the case. He was probably enjoying himself. I was quietly fuming. This wouldn't just stand here, but first, I had other things to deal with. After my parents left the room, doctors and nurses came in to prepare for the birth. After hours of labor, I gave birth to a girl. Her name is Melissa. Hearing Melissa's vigorous cries seemed to release me from all the tension. I fell asleep. When I woke up, a whole day had passed. Having slept, I felt somewhat better. I sent John an email informing him of the birth, but no reply came. Driven by his desires, he likely had no thoughts of his wife and child. As expected, it was infuriating. But he would face hell when he returned from his fun company trip. Imagining John's face, then I smirked. Thanks to my parents' care, I recovered well. On the day of my discharge, Andrew, who had been staying at my parents', came with them. "Hey, Mom, are you all better now?" Andrew looked at me worriedly. "Yeah, I'm all good now," I answered with a smile. I had caused so much worry lately. I hugged Andrew and stroked his head. Hey, how about we play treasure hunt next time? Andrew suggested innocently. Sure. It's been a while. What should we bury? Well, Andrew whispered secretly into my ear. I was so shocked by his words that I lost my mind. A week later, my phone vibrated. Mom, your phone is ringing. Andrew called out. I was just getting ready to leave and replied, just leave it. I can't pick it up now. But Andrew stared at the screen and answered a call. From afar, I heard a muffled male voice. It seemed to be John. Hey, Hannah. Oh, it's Andrew. I'm coming home tomorrow. Where's Mom? We're about to bury. John sounded confused by Andrew's words. What do you mean? Hey, Andrew. Let's go, I said to him, and Andrew smiled and hung up the call. We had a job to do. Andrew and I left to take care of some business. By the time we returned home, the sun had set. Postpartum, my body was completely exhausted. Since Andrew had fallen asleep, I left him and Alyssa with my parents, who lived nearby. There was still something I needed to finish. I decided to wait for John's return. Early the next morning, the front door burst open. Hannah, where are you? A panicked John entered the living room. He hesitated, looking back and forth between me and the chest in the corner. I smiled. You're late. I just finished burying it yesterday. What? What are you talking about? Andrew said something about burying. At my words, John turned pale. I know about the ring hidden there. Planning to propose to your mistress. It even had your names engraved. How thoughtful. I pointed to the chest, and John turned even paler. How did you? I knew everything. It started with a video stream. I discussed my husband's recent behavior online, and viewers suggested he might be cheating. Then that ring emerged from the false bottom of the chest. It was a brand new piece from a famous brand, engraved with both of their names. Could this be any more incriminating? After sharing this in a video, I was advised to hire a private detective, especially if I was considering divorce. Solid evidence would help in claiming alimony. Right after John left for his supposed company trip, I commissioned an investigation. The results confirmed my suspicions. John was indeed having an affair. The other woman was someone he met while on his solo assignment in a town where she worked at a bar. Her name was Rachel Gomez, 23 years old. Perhaps due to the loneliness of living alone, John started frequenting the bar. Eventually, their relationship became intimate. Such stories are common enough. Normally, these affairs end once the solo assignment period is over. But their relationship continued even after John returned. They secretly kept in touch. Eventually, he started being rude to me. Then, under the pretense of a company trip, he returned to his former assignment location to frolic with her. That ring was indeed intended for a proposal. You must have been quite smitten. A married man proposing to another woman is laughable. Did you rush back because you accidentally gave the wrong ring to your mistress and she scolded you? John's face changed color at my words. Was that your doing? Yes, I had switched the ring hidden in that chest. I anticipated he would give it to his mistress during the trip, so I replaced it with my own wedding ring. That ring was one John had given me long ago. I was happy at the time, but I no longer needed such a thing. What have you done? The ring is the wrong size, and it has your name engraved on it. Rachel was furious. I know nothing about that. John frantically opened the chest and searched thoroughly. Where is the real one? Where did you hide the real ring? Didn't I tell you? I buried it. What? John was speechless at my words. Just then, the front door opened. "John, are you okay? Isn't it over yet? Idiot, stay out there," stood Rachel. I had seen her face in photos provided by the detective agency, but in person, she was just a flashy young woman. She had foolishly followed John, probably upset over receiving her ring with the wrong name. John must have calmed her by saying the real one is at home, but unable to wait, Rachel decided to follow him. Such a ridiculous story played out in my mind. "So this is John's wife? Just an old lady," she sneered, belittling me, thinking she could win by flaunting her youth. Her naivety made me involuntarily sigh. "Oh, the mistress. Rachel Gomez, right? I heard you dropped out of trade school because you wanted money for fun and ended up working at a cheap bar. But no wealthy man took you seriously, so you settled for a married nobody. Feeling triumphant over his wife, is that right?" Rachel was struck speechless, hit right on the mark. I had already researched all this. In today's world, once you know someone's name, finding their social media is easy. A woman like Rachel, with a strong need for approval and a competitive spirit, is bound to be showcasing her history somewhere. Thinking this, I searched her social media and quickly uncovered Rachel's background. Rachel Defiant retorted, "So what? I'm the one John loves. He proposed to me, and I got the ring I wanted. Just divorce him already." I didn't need to be told. I'm planning on divorcing. I can't stay with someone like this anymore. John and I had been married for 5 years. We were blessed with a child, but his infidelity during his solo assignment, his disregard even during my pregnancy, and ultimately his treatment of me and Andrew. There's no point in continuing a marriage like this. Ever since I discovered the affair, I had decided to divorce him. By the way, aren't you going to look for that very important ring? Where did you hide it? Hide it? That sounds so sinister. Today, Andrew and I went for a walk at the beach for the first time in a while. We played a treasure hunt game. It was so much fun. John's face turned pale at my words. "You didn't bury it there, did you?" he muttered, trembling, and then suddenly rushed outside. "Hey, John, where are you going?" Rachel followed him. I quickly stepped outside from the front door, too. The place we buried, it was about a 20-minute walk away. I gripped my smartphone tightly and walked briskly. It was a local beach. Upon arrival, the two were frantically digging up various spots in the sand. "It's not here." "Where the hell is it?" "It was an expensive ring." "What are you doing?" "Find it quickly." They were panicking like fools. I leisurely filmed the scene with my smartphone. Apparently too distracted by their panic, they didn't notice me filming from a distance. The sight was so ridiculous I couldn't help but burst into laughter. This beach was a place our family of 3 frequently visited. Here we all often played treasure hunt. Andrew would bury treasures in the sand, and John and I would search for them. The treasures buried were usually things Andrew treasured. Things like toy cars and cicada shells seemed like things boys would enjoy. However, today the buried item was the real ring that John intended to give to Rachel. When Andrew recently said, "Let's play treasure hunt," and I asked, "What shall we bury?" he immediately replied. I was startled, and Andrew explained, "I know Dad has been looking at a ring and smiling recently." "What are you talking about?" Andrew had been observing John closely. John must have been daydreaming about his mistress while looking at the expensive ring he had splurged on. "That ring is important to Dad, right? If we bury it, maybe he'll come back to find it. Maybe he'll come back to being the dad he used to be." Andrew's eyes sparkled with hope. Andrew still doesn't understand. He doesn't realize that the ring was meant for someone John was having an affair with. He sees his father happy, so he naturally thinks it must be something very important. He hopes finding it might change his recently moody father back to the kind dad he used to be. Andrew's pure heart touched me deeply. And so, we had just buried the ring here on this beach. But John, now desperately searching for the ring, isn't thinking about his family at all. He's just trying not to upset Rachel. As I filmed, I realized tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't forgive John for destroying our family. It's a harsh reality for Andrew, but John is probably not coming back to us. Later, I went home to edit the footage. The video amusingly captured the two frantically searching for the ring. Thanks to the sound capturing app, I got perfect audio too. I blurred their faces at the end and added narration about our family's history, the treasure hunts Andrew loved, and how John's selfish affair led to the family's breakdown. I kept all names anonymous. I clicked and uploaded the finished video with the title, "I'd buried the ring my husband planned to give to his mistress." Instantly, the views shot up, comments flooded in. "Your husband is the worst. Pooh Kid," mostly condemning John and Rachel. As I scrolled through the comments, the exhausted pair returned. "We finally found it. Buried in the damn beach. The ring is all dirty with sand now. What are you going to do about it?" They clamored noisily. John was holding the sand-covered ring and a tattered piece of paper. This paper was in there too. It's filthy. He casually threw it in the trash without a second thought. "Don't you get it?" I said coldly, looking at John. I retrieved the paper from the trash and spread it out. It was crumpled, but it was a drawing by Andrew with crayons. It showed our family of 4, all smiling. John seemed to realize what it depicted only after looking closely. He couldn't bear a word. John's face showed a complex mix of emotions. This is Andrew's feelings. You trampled on his wish for a smiling, happy family, sneaking around, having an affair, neglecting your family. You are truly despicable. I can never forgive you. The living room fell silent at my loud voice. Rachel also looked guilty. I turned to her and said, "And don't think I forgive you either. You break a home and still have the nerve to look unaffected. I will fight against someone who hurts children." Thoroughly with that, I glared at them both. Where's Andrew? How is the baby doing?" John asked in a cracked voice, finally showing concern for his children. But it was too late. They were at my parents' house. "Considering you ignored Andrew and the baby while fussing over that ring, you have the nerve to ask that now? Well, you won't be seeing them anymore." "That's outrageous. I am their father." "What a father? After completely neglecting the kids and being engrossed in your affair. Who are you kidding? I don't even want to see your faces. Just get out." Both of them were completely intimidated by my fury. "Let's just go." "All right. I'll leave for today. Hannah, I'll contact you when things have calmed down." John and Rachel awkwardly left the house, retreating quietly. This will likely lead to divorce discussions. I'm determined not to lose. I clenched my fist as if to pump myself up. Later, although it took time, the divorce was finalized successfully, despite John's cold head saying, "I want to make things right." I, of course, ignored him. It must have been just a momentary lapse of judgment. He would likely cheat again. It was obvious, as evidenced by the fact he seems to have started cohabiting with Rachel while talking about getting back together with me. You wanted to keep both me and Rachel, perhaps trying to maintain a good image as a father to Andrew and Melissa? There's no way I would allow that. Of course, I demanded a hefty alimony. John desperately asked to make payments in installments, but I refused that too. I demanded payment in full. Due to a concern I had, the video I uploaded went viral beyond expectation. It received millions of views and was spread by various media outlets. Even though I blurred everyone's identities, some viewers are skilled at identifying people from subtle clues. John and Rachel were identified from subtle clues, such as the condition of the coastline and their reflections in the window glass. Articles started appearing one after another. Worst husband John Martinez works at Southern Trading. The mistress, Rachel Gomez, is a hostess at a bar known for targeting married men. In the past, once it started, there was no stopping it. John's deeds became known to his company. Apparently, he had been neglecting his work because he was spending time at Rachel's place during his solo assignment. This led to his reassignment to this branch. Moreover, he had already used up his paid leave when he lied about the company trip to visit Rachel. He had lied about being ill to get his absences excused, which was eventually discovered. Naturally, John was fired. Once that happened, naturally the paycheck wouldn't come in. It was good that I had collected the alimony up front. Then there was child support. This was a concern, but John's parents agreed to pay it until John found a new job. However, John's reputation was now widely known, making reemployment difficult for a while. It was his own doing. I also demanded alimony from Rachel, but she had quit her job at the bar and wasn't working. In a panic, Rachel and John started uploading couple videos, attempting to capture their daily lives. It was meant to showcase the daily lives of couples, but it ended up fueling the fire, a couple of homewreckers. The shameful part? These two are unbelievably thick-skinned. They were criticized heavily and soon stopped. Perhaps they thought it would be as easy as my video had made it seem. Without proper planning and merely trying to earn money, they were bound to fail. Thus, it turned out to be right to secure the alimony upfront from Rachel's parents. However, they told her, "This is the last time we help you." Dependent on John, and with the couple videos not working out, their relationship deteriorated, and they soon broke up. It was a rather thin bond. I mused dispassionately. Initially, John was ecstatic about being liked by a younger woman. And for Rachel, this sense of taboo in being involved with someone else's partner was fueling each of their romances. But once the magic wore off, all that was left was reality. The fleeting emotions cost them both dearly. Meanwhile, my channel has become incredibly popular. I'm busy with consultations from other moms dealing with infidelity, and I've been approached by companies for collaborations. Now active as an influencer, I enjoy making videos, and the comments from viewers give me strength daily. Additionally, my income, which was once meager, has significantly increased. With that money, I renovated and expanded my parents' house. Now the 5 of us, including my parents and the kids, live there. My parents are delighted to see their grandchildren up close. Andrew has grown up and become much stronger recently. Melissa is also growing up healthy and plays well with Andrew. There's just one thing that bothers me. I haven't let John meet the kids since then. Of course, I haven't spoken to Andrew about the ugly adult realities, but I wonder if he really understands. However, to my surprise, Andrew seems unconcerned. "Dad, I'm over it. He didn't help even when Mom was suffering. I don't need someone that horrible." His clear words startled me. No matter how young, children keenly observe their parents. "From now on, I'll play treasure hunt with Melissa," Andrew said with an innocent smile. I felt a deep sense of relief. John may be gone, but in his place, Melissa has come into our lives. Seeing the children's lively spirits is an irreplaceable joy. Now, if we can continue to live together happily as a family, that would be the greatest happiness.